Hi guys, welcome on IT tutorial. I am Josef Botnar. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to calculate the future values of initial investment using Excel. The future value of initial investment or initial deposit made in a bank account is the value in future of this initial investment. What you can gain after a couple of years. The future value is the first illustration of compound interest, which contains the initial investment or the principal that you earn interest on interest. It sounds a bit confusing. I was the same when I heard for the first time this definition. But don't stress yourself too much. It's not that difficult as the definition is. I'm going to do an example, and hopefully you will understand clearly how this calculation of future values works with Excel. So we need an initial deposit. Firstly, just to let you know, I call it this example calculating future values with Excel of a initial investment or initial deposit. So we need an initial deposit. Let it be 1,000, and I want a currency in front of this number. Let it be pounds, because I'm located in London and I want to use pound, English pounds. To appear the pound here in front of the number, you go on this tab where is this number tab, or you can go here where you see this symbol of dollar. Click on this arrow and you choose pound, United Kingdom, if you've got the pound in this list. If not, you just click on this square and choose currency. Go where is this symbol, click on this arrow, and from this list choose English pound. It's quite down here somewhere, should be here somewhere. I don't know. I think I went over. Yeah, here you go, English pound United Kingdom selected, and after OK, and as you can see now the pound appeared in front of this number. So this is the initial deposit or the initial investment, 1,000 pound, and the interest rate, let it be, for example, 5%. So type 5. If you want percentage, now this cell is formatted for percentage, but if you don't have your cell formatted for percentage, you just type 5, and after the number press shift and press the percentage key, and you're going to have the percentage of the number. So interest rate is 5%. The number of years after I want to calculate the future value of this initial investment of 1,000 pound is 10 years. It can be any number of years as you want. I chose 10, and down here I'm going to do the calculations, and I'm going to set up the future values for this initial investment for 10 years. Yes, and I have this head here which contains the year, the interest, and the balance. The balance or the future value will be the same result. I prefer to call it balance, but actually it will be the future value for this 1,000 investment for every year throughout this 10 years. So I'm going to type here 1 because I'm going to calculate the interest and the balance or the future value for the first year of this initial deposit 1000. Yeah. And here I'm going to calculate the interest for the first year. So I type equal, I take over the value from this cell B2 because this contains the value of initial deposit 1000 multiplied by the interest rate B3, enter, and this is the interest earned for the first year, £50 of this initial deposit 1000. Let's calculate the balance or the future value for the first year equal. I'm going to take over the initial investment, which is contained in this cell B2, plus the interest earned for the first year, £50, and future value for the first year is going to be £1,050 of this initial deposit 1000. For the second year, the interest earned is going to be equal. Now I'm going to take over the balance and not the initial deposit. So this is the secret of future value, which is using the compound interest. So you're going to earn interest on interest, because now this balance or the future value contains, after the first year, contains the principal or the initial deposit and the interest earned for the first year, which is 1050, yeah, and multiplied by interest rate, enter, and this is the interest earned for the second year, 52.50 pounds. The balance will be now the balance for the first year, 1050, which is contained in this cell C8, plus the interest earned for the second year, 52.50, enter. And this is the result, the future value or the balance for the second year, 1102.50 pounds. Yeah. Now in this moment I don't need to write further the formula for interest earned and for the future value of this initial investment, 1000 pounds. Because Excel allow me to drag this formula up to 10 years. So this is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10. Here you go. But as you can see, I've got some problems here, some errors. Here I've got 0. 0, so something is not good, obviously. So let's do a review and let's see what is not good with my formula. So firstly, I'm going to check the formula for interest. I'm going to go for this third year, and let's see here what happened. If you do a review here, where we have this B4, we should have the interest rate. But Excel took over the value from this cell B10, which is the number of years. So I'm going to drag this up here, because the formula should contain the interest rate and not the number of years. And regard to this cell C9, it's alright. Excel took over the right cell, because we need to calculate the interest rate for the third year. We need a balance of the future value from the past year. So this is correct. The problem is with this part here, where the formula should get the interest rate. This happened because we have to change the relative references with the absolute references. So we have used the relative reference for the interest rate. So we should get stuck at this cell B3 in formula, which contains the interest rate, which is unique, is single, 5% in my case. How I can do this? I'm going to write this dollar symbol around this letter B, which represents the column of this cell B3. Enter. And now this B3, which contains the interest rate, will be stuck in formula. And let's do a review here. For balance, regard to balance, we can use the relative reference. So let's drag again this formula up to year 10. Here you go. Now the result is correct because we get stuck this cell B3 using absolute reference for the interest rate, which is contained in this formula B3, using this symbol dollar around the column, as you can see. So be careful with this when you need a unique number or a unique cell. You have to use the absolute references, which means you have to get stuck that cell using the absolute reference, using this dollar symbol around the column, as I have done in my example. Now the result is correct. We have the interest earned for each year. As you can see, for the last year, for the year 10, the interest earned is £77.57, and future value for the last year, for the year 10, is £1,628.89. As you can see, we have the future values for each of these years throughout 10 years, and we have the future value for the last year, for the year 10, for this initial deposit of £1,000. We can calculate the future value for a number of years for the last year, in my example for year 10, using a different formula. For example, if I'm going to calculate the total, let's write here total for the interest earned after 10 years. I'm going to select all this data, and I'm going to use this function AutoSum, and here you go. This is the total interest earned after 10 years, £628.89. And here I'm going to use this formula. I'm going to take over the initial deposit of 1,000 from this cell B2, and I'm going to add the interest earned after 10 years, which is £628.89 from this cell B18. Enter, and as you can see, I received the same result as I received here using this method to calculate the future value of each of this year, and the end I obtained future value for the last year, for the year 10, which is the same as I get here in this cell using this formula. Let's highlight this using this feature bold, yeah, for the both, yeah, and let's use this color to highlight them. Okay, let's do here a few changes. Let's highlight this head of this table. Here you go. I'm going to insert here a row as well, and I'm going to write here future value after 10 years. Here you go. Let's make this narrower. Okay, and I want to calculate straight the future value after 10 years for this initial deposit without going through this calculation for each year. I want to do this straight, the future value after 10 years. To do so, I'm going to use this mathematical formula, which is used to calculate by hand the future value, which is equal with x. This x represents the initial deposit or the principal, multiplied by the sum between 1 and interest rate. This R represent interest rate, powered by n, where n represent a number of years, in my case 10. So let's use this formula to calculate the future value after 10 years of this initial deposit, £1,000. So let's do so. Equal. So I need the principal, the initial deposit, 1,000 from this cell B2, multiplied by the addition between 1 plus the interest rate, which is 5%. Yeah, I closed the parentheses, and this is going to powered by. So you to get this symbol for power, you have to press shift and look for that symbol here up on your keyboard, and press that symbol, and you will get it in this way. And n, which represents the number of years, here is 10 in my example. Yeah, enter. Here you go. As you can see, we got the same result as I received here, 1628.89, as you can see, or here using another formula. If you want to get the future value after of a number of years straight, without going through this calculation of future values for each year, you can do it using this formula by hand. Also, you can use this formula, which is used to calculate the future value, to calculate the future value for each of these 10 years. So I'm going to write here future values. Yeah. You will do this as following. Press equal. What you need? You need the principal, which is this 1,000 from this cell B2. This operator for multiplication. Open the parentheses. 1 plus R, which is the interest rate. This 5% from B3. Close the parentheses, the symbol for power, and the number of years. Because we are going to calculate the future value of this initial investment, 1,000 for each year. In this case, it's 1. The future value is calculated for the first year. Enter. As you can see, the value is the same. Let's drag this value, and again we receive a lot of errors, very weird results, which is not the same what have received on this column, balance column. Yeah, that means something is wrong in my formula. Even I expected this formula in this cell D9, but in this formula I need to start not just interest rate, I should get stuck the initial deposit as well. So let's do so. So I'm going to get stuck this B2 cell, which represents the initial deposit, and the interest rate, which is contained in this cell B3. Enter. And now let's drag this formula again up to year 10. Here you go. I should change the number of years, yeah, because here is going to be calculated the future value for second year, and here for third, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10. As you can see, I received the same result as I got here in this column for the balance. So I received exactly the same result as you can see. Let's highlight the final result for the year 10. Here you go. Let's place the years in the center of this cell. Also, you can do a chart if you want to have overall looking of the result of future values of this initial deposit. How you can do this? You just select the column what you want to be part of your chart. For example, the year. Press Ctrl or Command for Macintosh, and I will select this column future values, and I go here on this tab, Insert, select Charts, going on this square, click on it, and I'm going to select this scatter sort of chart. Okay, and here you go. Here is my chart. I'm going to make it bigger and wider. Yeah. If you want to make changes, it's very easy. You just go on this chart title and change the title. Let it be future value of £1,000 at 5% annual interest. Here you go. Let's highlight it. Okay. Now let's select again this chart. I go on this plus symbol, click on it, and I want title for axis. Yeah, I tick these boxes for axis, and here I'm gonna to write future values. Yeah, and here for horizontal axis I'm going to write year. So now you have a chart which is linked to these two columns, year and future values. You can have an overall looking of your future value of this 1,000 initial investment with 5% annual interest. So you can see how your initial investment progressed throughout these 10 years looking on this chart. What is very important regard to Excel, once you have made these calculations, once you set up the balance of the future values and the chart, you can make any changes, yeah, and you will get the result automatically. Actually, the Excel will calculate for you automatically the results. You don't need to make any changes any longer. For example, if I change the initial deposit from 1,000 to 2,000, as you can see, automatically here the result for interest, for balance of the future value, even here for future value after 10 years was changed automatically by Excel, and also the chart was changed automatically, as you can see. If I change to 2,100, for example, because you can notice the changes better, you can see how all these these values was changed automatically, either in this table or in this chart. So this is very important regard to Excel. Once you set up all the calculation and even the chart, if you do changes after, Excel will do automatically the changes. You can do a lot of scenarios. For example, yeah, you can see for this initial investment of 100 pounds how much you can earn each year, yeah, and how much the future value of this investment is going to be for each year or after 10 years. You can change here as well. You can change the interest. You can see if the interest rate is changed from 5 to 8 percentage, how the interest and the future value will be progressing, as you can see. So this is all about future value. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. I'm waiting for you to watch my other video tutorials. See you next time. Bye bye.